Hey and welcome back to Sonic Colors Wii. In this part we're going into Aquarium Park, which, yes, it's a water level, but it's a water level I actually like.
Is it because you're not actually underwater?
No, you do go underwater too, but the way this game handles water is it's just much more, well, it's much smoother than a lot of other Sonic games. Like, you do still drown from being under there for so long, but you also have the boost and you can dash around, and it's a lot, smoother than, say, a classic games level. Like, you ain't got any sort of labyrinth zone shit going on here. Like, you mostly keep moving. Like, there are some parts of it that, you kind of think, okay, can I speed up a bit now? But for the most part, it is a pretty solid water level.
Plus, you can just float straight to the top if you want.
Yeah, you can. If you just keep on mashing the jump button, then you will get yourself back to the top really quickly.
This also has one of, for me, one of the most memorable themes.
It does. It's like, it's not just a water level, is it? It's like got this sort of oriental sort of dragon like setting to it. Like, it's basically Dragon Road underwater, really, isn't it?
It's like, well, I wasn't just talking about the aesthetic, I was actually talking about the music.
Oh,
as
the
well.
music's fucking great as well. Like, the music sounds almost Cash-like in terms of like the melody to it, which I'm perfectly okay with. Like, I know we actually sort of blabbed about other shit while we were doing the opening cutscene in the first part, but the main song of this was a Cash song, Reach for the Stars, which it's really fun and poppy. It works really well for this game. There's also the other song Cash did for this game, which is Speak With Your Heart, which is the credits theme, which we'll hear much later on. Yeah, like the music direction on the whole, actually. Stephen, what do you think of Colours music overall?
It's really enjoyable to listen to. It never feels boring or repetitive.
Yeah, I'm surprised I didn't bring it up properly during Planet Wisp, actually, because Planet Wisp's theme is really fucking amazing. Like, it combines different layers of instruments that I would never have put together. Because, like, the main melody is a slow, gentle piano riff, really, isn't it? But behind that is a fucking funk bass. That should not work, but it really does. And, like, the bass sort of complements the piano by, like, letting you have this gentle melody, but while keeping the pace up. Because, like, obviously it's a Sonic game and you want to go fast.
And there's also a Tropical Resorts theme.
Tropical Resort, I like that song a lot. I prefer the Generations 3DS Modern remix, because what that does is it takes a similar kind of approach, but it adds in this really, like, exciting, I want to say, like, synthesizer riff on top of it. Like, it does take you by surprise a bit the first time. Like, the first time you hear that synth riff, you will think, what the fuck is going on here? But then it grows on you, and it grows on you, and it just makes it feel like the original version so much, like, number by comparison.
I don't really have a favourite between the two. I find them both equally enjoyable. Also, I really like the fact of how you can use the drill wisp in this.
Oh, drill wisp underwater is really cool here, actually. It's another thing that can speed you up. But yeah, with the two Tropical Resort themes, I do find it amusing how in Generations 3DS they didn't bother making a new classic remix. The classic remix is just the fucking Colours version. Although, when I say the Colours version, bear in mind in Colours, each of these songs does have like a couple of variants as well that these sub-levels use. Like, it's mainly like the Act 1 theme is like the main one, like the proper one, and then there's other ones like this like variant that we're hearing now of like this level. It's just, I don't really think the sub ones are as good on the whole, but maybe that's because I go back and play the main levels far more often.
Yeah.
And that level we just went through was fucking simple and easy as anything, wasn't it?
You can instantly tell from the beginning of the levels what one's going to be a main one and what's going to be a really short one.
Yeah, it mostly depends on whether they throw you a gimmick right off the bat, really, isn't it? Because the main ones sort of have like establishing zones, like sections before you get into the level proper, whereas like if you see off the bat there's a section where you stand on the switch and wait for something to go around, that's what the level's going to be. Same as if you see like that spring in that one Starlight Carnival level, that's what the level's going to fucking be.
Plus the longer levels in this particular zone always happen to have a water part, whereas the short ones seems rather absent.
Yeah, like, I forget if it's this one or a later one, but there's another 3D section in this level which really stands out. But that's another 3D section where it's quite basic, and I seem to recall having some frame rate drops. But, you know, it does feel a little bit refreshing just to have that little bit of 3D. But, yeah, one of the main gimmicks for these sections, which admittedly does get a little bit annoying in parts, is these fans that blow you down when you're underwater can be a little bit finicky to manoeuvre around. Like, granted, a lot of that is a case of learn the level, learn where they are, replay it, and you'll be perfectly fine. But, you know, it's a bit of a pace breaker. And then there's obviously the obligatory lift section, which every game's got to have one somewhere.
Which would be fun if you had the purple wisp.
It would be, yeah. But we're not there yet. We're going to hold off on spoiling Chris on the purple wisp, because the purple wisp is bro tier wisp. I think we're actually quite close to that level. I think I'm going to fucking Asteroid Coaster next off the top of my head, because just going through this playthrough, it's just reminding me of just how short this is on the whole. Like, I can say, like, I have that it's a 2.5 hour game, but when you just see how quickly we get through this little adventure, just watching it back, it kind of really does drive home on it. Oh, we're Act 4 already. This must be the more difficult one. It's usually either Act 4 or Act 5 that's the one that has more meat to it. I don't know if you noticed that, Steve.
No, I don't think I have. But yeah, this... yeah, I remember.
Fuck this guy. He can be annoying. Like, he's much easier to deal with if you have boost at the times where he appears. If not, then it's a case of, you know, jumping at the right time, which is doable. Like, you can dodge him most of the time, but it's easier to boost ahead of him than it is to jump. But yeah, like, admittedly, this is the point in the game where the blocky platforming is kind of like, you've been there, you've done it, and so outside of the water variants, it's kind of like new sections, please, game. Do you get what I'm going?
Yeah.
Thinking back now, I think we're kind of hitting a dry section here. So ironic, given it's a water level, but you know, in terms of other water levels, are there any other water levels that stick out to you guys as levels you particularly enjoy from Sonic? And I know you have to dig a little bit deep there.
Not that I can think of, unfortunately.
Like, if we're going like loosest definition of a water world, I would say Emerald Coast from Adventure, because that has some underwater sections. Like, admittedly, it is more a beach level than a water level. But then there's also ones that I find quite inoffensive, like Tidal Tempest from Sonic CD. Because that level, like, granted, it's like a less offensive labyrinth. It's like Labyrinth without the slower parts. You can keep yourself above water through a lot of it, and the water sections aren't quite as offensive because there's pretty much always something to do. And granted, I do have maybe a bit of a fanboy like, obsession with CD as a whole, but you know.
Yeah, it was a fun game.
Yes, Sonic CD is a really fun game. Like, Chris, that's one I actually like as well, isn't it, mate?
Yeah, I like that one, yeah. I'm trying to remember, I can't really remember Tidal Tempest too well. I remember it looked a bit like Labyrinth, so...
It looks like it, but doesn't really play like it, does it?
Quicker.
Speaking of Mario imitations from before, there are those pipes that you can go through with the drill wisp.
True, yeah. Like, they were, like, I think that's more coincidence than anything, but, like, when you stop and think about it, yeah, it's another little similarity. And I think this might be where I completely fuck up with a laser. Yep, it is. I tried, okay, you've got to cut me a bit of slack.
You have time to calculate.
Got to go fast. There is no time, I got to go fast. Yeah, this is one section where it's like, you know, more blocks everywhere. More blocks than fucking Tetris.
Did that movie get made of the Tetris movie?
No, not yet.
No, I think, wasn't that a troll thing?
Was it?
I can't remember, was it?
I think it was a troll thing. Maybe it got spread around a little bit more. I'm not entirely certain on that one. This is the section that can kind of trip people up on, like, this level though. Because this is, if you noticed, I weren't really boosting much earlier in the level because I wanted to conserve my boost to make this easier. Because if you're boosting, then you can always see him on screen and where he's about to fire, and that's absolutely fine. Whereas when you get to other parts, or if you let him get too close, it could be kind of annoying when he just sort of bitch slaps you from behind. And yeah, it is much easier if you got the boost, like I say, but that's the bulk of the level there. You know, that's him down. But yeah, you mentioned the Tetris film. What other things do you think could make an interesting, quote unquote, interesting film? Do you think we could have like an asteroid space shooter?
Probably.
Maybe a panel to pond block switching thing.
What do you say? Pong.
Panel to pond. You know, the little puzzle game that like it's mainly a Japanese thing, but there's also that Pokemon puzzle challenge game, which I think maybe at one time we could do a playthrough of actually for shits and giggles that I would like to do. But it's like a Game Boy Color puzzle game where you sort of switch the blocks around, and it's pretty fucking fun. I spent a lot of time, particularly like when I was really young and had it on the Game Boy playing that game. I got good at it, then all my skills deteriorated over the years because of course it fucking did. Yeah, you could have that. I'm trying to think what else could make a silly film. Like, I think the Tetris one, I think it is a troll one, but if you think about like the links back to Russia and like, could you make a really ridiculous Tetris themed communist film? Do you think that could work? Because the more I think about it, the more I realise that it's both a terrible idea, but also a terrible idea I want to see.
I think everybody probably shares that opinion.
Yeah. Although speaking of film adaptations of things that have become a shit show, Stephen, certain film adaptation you've been telling me about that I want to watch at some point. Lay the Dirt.
Oh, Death No.
Let's be real here. This was one of them films that everyone was kind of expecting to be a bit crap, wasn't it? But everyone I've seen who's watched it has said, like, no, it's worse than you think.
It was about as good, if anything, as I expected it to be. I never expected it to be any good except for Willem Dafoe, and he is perfect as Ryuk. I mean, they do get his characterization wrong because he's manipulating the events more, which Ryuk isn't meant to do.
Yeah, that's the thing with Ryuk in the original series, in that, like, he was really in it for the bants.
He's really fun, isn't he?
Yeah, that's a sport for him, isn't it? Just fucking with people.
In the film, he does drop it right beside Light.
Oh, he knows what he's fucking doing.
He purposely does it. I mean, he purposely but randomly does it. Because, whereas in the anime, he drops it, anybody could have picked it up. It's just that Light happened to take notice.
Yeah.
But what's worse, he makes Light do the evil stuff and tries to make him do the evil stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing that he does. First thing that he does in the film. The moment Light murders someone for the first time, it is orchestrated by Ryuk. He appears before him and he says, like, he points into a window where there's a bully who you see early on who is a dick for one scene. So you're like, yeah, he's gonna die.
Yeah, so the thing with, like, the original Death Note, what makes that, like, appeal of both Ryuk and more so Light's character is that Light is a kind of commentary on what can happen when a do-gooder gets power, it's seeing how that characterization evolves over time. But then, when you take that away, it's literally just guy gonna be a dick for the sake of it. And anyway, to get us back on topic, because we're doing that derailing the commentary thing again, because we like doing that in dead sections. But here we have the 3D section. And, like, granted, from what I'm seeing here, it isn't chugging quite as much as I remember. I think it was more the Starlight Carnival thing that was, like, what I was thinking of in the frame rate problems, because that did chug quite a bit. But this one, they are actually doing some interesting stuff with 3D, and I think more of this, that'd be cool. Like, admittedly, this is quite a basic section at this particular moment with, like, the rings and light dash and that, but still, just like the build up to it, the sections where you can admittedly fall in the pit if you're not paying attention, stuff like that. I kind of do think that I was saying earlier, but I think this is kind of a victim to technology. I think had this not been a Wii exclusive, it probably would have been a little bit more meaty in terms of 3D. That's one thing I've been thinking more critically about quite a lot in games recently, and how hardware does hold them back. And why in general I'm starting to get sick of consoles, because the current generation consoles are quite underpowered compared to what you can get on PC now.
I mean, Switch is understandable, at least, because of it being portable. So.
Well, it's a fucking tablet, and it's a glorified iPad, but still.
Yeah, but it seems to be doing well, surprisingly, so...
It's, like, admittedly, I think that the Switch benefits from the fact that it isn't just a direct competitor to the Xbone or PS4, because the Xbone or PS4, there's no reason to get them now, other than, like, the exclusives being held hostage. Like, I would say if you're gonna look for like a gaming system now, then even a lower end PC would do you better than like underpowered consoles that are, because it's quite telling, isn't it, that halfway through a console generation and they're like, oh, this isn't quite powerful enough, we're gonna need the Xbox One X, we're gonna need the PS4 Pro. Maybe you should have held off. Maybe your tech weren't quite ready several years ago. Maybe that's what you should have been thinking about back in like fucking 2012 or some shit. Not like, yeah. Not like, oh, we can upgrade it later. The suckers will buy it again. And like, I say that as someone who has a PS4, because obviously I'm a hypocrite who bitches about stuff that I support. But yes, we've got another boss coming up. But first, more beautiful cutscene.
Sushi. I doubt Eggman had the decency to put a good sushi joint in this park.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, try the newest dining experience here at Eggman's incredible interstellar amusement.
Of course there's a fucking sushi joint in there. There has to be.
What was he serving before?
Yeah.
Doing it a bit wrong.
Are they the mechanical fish that he was serving before?
I seem to recall hearing something about like the US branch of Domino's Pizza at one point. They had an advertisement campaign that was like, now with real cheese or something. Like, I think it was more like that they had better quality cheese or something, but the way they worded it, it made it seem like, oh, they were just serving you fucking rubber or some shit.
So the way they were voicing it was that it was trying to make the previous cheese seem inferior to the current.
Well, I think what it is, and I think Domino's have always had a much worse reputation in the US than they do over here. But like, I think what they were going at is like they knew they had that sort of reputation, and so it was like trying to distance themselves from that, really. But yeah, this is actually a relatively different kind of boss.
Yeah, and it's also something that's been done in Mario Galaxy.
It is. It's like that boss quite early on, isn't it? Where you got to guide the fucking bullet bill up to the section just to break the cage down. Like, it's not quite the same, and this is on a 2D plane, but still. And again, this is another thing where you're going to want to use the drill wisp, because you can do more damage to him that way.
But it's really fun being able to use the drill like this.
Just in general, yeah, isn't it, really?
And then along came Lost World.
Let's not talk about Lost World, except when we do.
I may defend it, but still, I can't defend it at those points.
Yeah. I like to imagine you've grown up a bit in terms of taste, Stephen.
Hey, my taste for Lost World hasn't changed.
Fuck.
I just know that if I'm extremely more positive towards it, it will irritate me more.
Like, that fucking playthrough was like 3.5 years ago, and you're still wrong. Where is this character development? But like, I think out of like early FlameHisWorld, that was probably like one of the most fun to playthroughs to record, just because I got to bitch about you being wrong all the time.
And I just repetitively called you incompetent because that's just fun for me.
Okay, I'm gonna take one thing back from that playthrough now. On the record, on mic, for everyone here, yeah, I was playing fucking terribly in that playthrough.
Yes, you were.
I know I was. And I wasn't used to the motion controls, and I didn't really know what I was doing. And I can say that if you look on the FC Playthroughs channel, I have now done a much better run. Like, it's just now I've had that time to, you know, get better, practice more, and now, you know, I can use actual proper controls. Like, it's kind of, you know, I can go into it a bit fairer. And I think Like, that does make my criticism stand a bit more now, that I've got good at the game and I still don't like it. Just saying, Stephen.
I found the game easy.
Yeah, well, maybe if you want to take claim to fame for that, then good on you. Stephen finds Lost World easy. That's Stephen's...
It's not my fault that you just admitted to being shit.
Yeah, I did admit to being shit then. I admit to being better at it now. Still bad. Yeah, that was one way to wrap up the part. So, yeah, if you want to hear more of Stephen's shit opinions, no doubt, then join us next time for Asteroid Coaster. Bye-bye for now.